Good morning, everyone. Hey, good morning, Delphine. Good morning. Good morning, Large Void. All right, good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, May 21st, 2026. New day, fresh start. Welcome to the Pitbull Traders Morning Game Plan. I'm your host, Manny. The purpose of this show is simple: live futures trading, real-time technical analysis, and actionable trade setups, all with the focus on building the real trading skills and the mindset designed to drive consistent profitability. Every morning we come in with the same goal: to build out the structure before the open so that we're operating in alignment with the day's dominant forces. Not guessing, not chasing. All right, team, let's get after it. Let's map it out. Let's see how we're going to trade the day. We're going to start off as we do every morning on a higher time frame. So for that, we're going to dial into the 4-hour time frame. Let's just get that expanded here. All right, so you can see here on the 4-hour time frame, I drew out this Fibonacci measurement tool because I kind of wanted to see where we were in terms of this hourly consolidation. Again, let's just review really quickly how we got here, and there's a reason for that. So coming into this rally, the Artemis move to the moon rally from the 63.53 low on March 30th, it's been nothing but straight up. Okay, and we haven't had very many pullbacks. You can see that these have been more. I'm not certain you can even call these pullbacks in time. They've just been consolidations and moving higher. Consolidation, moving higher. Consolidation, moving higher, and so forth. So the reason why I drew out the highs to low using the Fibonacci retracement tool is because I wanted to see okay, at what point does this become a pullback instead of a consolidation in time? And the reason for that is, what has been working lately? Well, buying breakouts out of consolidation areas has been working. We had a few. Each one of these consolidations, if you bought a pullback on a breakout, you did well, and that has been what's working lately. And as traders, we have to identify patterns, and we have to stick with what's working until it's not. All right. So coming into the 4-hour time frame on the left-hand chart, we can see here that from the 75.40 high that was made on May 14th, we've pulled back on the 4-hour time frame. Very, very choppy action. You can see the sideways move, the sideways grind higher that's been characterized by the 73.54 low wicking each time we've tested. So here we have a big wick, big 4-hour wick here, and another 4-hour wick here. So what does that tell us? That tells us that buyers are present every time we've traded down into those lows. Buyers have been willing to absorb, and price hasn't been even able to test within the 7,300 gap that was made on May 6th. So remember, on May 6th, we gapped over 7,300. Our low, the top of that gap, or the lower portion of that gap, would be 7,325, and a true gap fill comes in at 7,300. Let's frame that out. Let's keep that in our narrative for the day and moving forward as the week develops. All right. So another thing I want to point out is that what we have here is another higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Okay. And now on the 4-hour time frame, and to make this next point, I just want to get into, going to drill down a little bit further, go on a 2-hour time frame. What we can see here is yesterday, this consolidation that we've been experiencing since we sold off last Friday. Okay, we sold off last Friday, but then since then, we've just been going sideways. Okay, and since that sideways move, what have we done now? Well, we consolidated, and we now are making another higher low. Okay, so a couple of scenarios that could play out there. If we do see further weakness today, okay, so this top of this structure right here should be our first point of reference, right? Another area where a higher low could form. Let's call that 7390 to 7400. And I'm even open to the idea that we could come back down retest these lows, maybe do a look below and fail of the 73.54 low, consolidate, and then maybe we can move up. All right, those are all scenarios that we have to keep in our mind. Another one is that potentially we do get down into the gap, right? We do a look below and fail into the gap. We find support and maybe we move higher, or perhaps we go into the gap, truly go into the gap, fill the gap, and then retrace from there, make a higher low, and then we'll see where that takes us. So a couple of higher time frame scenarios. For now, what we're going to do is use that 73.90 low, 73.90 to 7400 as a potential higher low zone. Again, open to the idea that we may go down and test 73.54, but just keep that in mind as we move forward. All right, so that kind of covers the higher time frame analysis. Let's drill down. Let's get into the 15-minute time frame. That's really where the rubber meets the road for us daytime frame traders. And let's just see how we're going to approach the day. All right, we're going to do it as we do it every morning. We're going to stick to the process. We like to be process orientated here. We like to make trades that follow a logic chain, right? So we want to make sure that our ideas are framed on evidence based, not something that we're thinking, based on some news that dropped. We're going to use the charts. We're going to use our tools to see how we should be executing on the day. All right. So first off, on the left-hand chart, we have a 15-minute time frame chart. The light gray areas are the overnight session. The dark gray areas are the regular trading hour session. We have the same chart on the right, and the reason why we have two of them is because we're us being traders, we're very visual, right? We want to see both scenarios laid out for us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to map out two scenarios. The most bullish argument on the left, and then I'm going to map out the most bearish argument on the right. And then from there, we'll talk about a few trap trades. All right, so the most bullish argument, we're opening up at 74.2150. And from here, we get a rally off the open. You can see that we're trading squarely at yesterday's value area low. And if we do get a open drive higher, let me just check something here. Tight. If we do get a move higher, you get an open drive higher, right? Immediately what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at this lower distribution here. You can see that we just put in this high coming in here at the exact price is 74.38. So we have this big 30-point drop, and that was I'm not sure if it was news or whatever or what happened there, but I'm very happy it happened because I was trading pre-market and I happened to be short 74.62 and I got 30 points on that. So I'm pretty happy about that one. I didn't check if it was news. I just covered the trade and I got out of here. So if we do get an open drive higher, okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to monitor that 74.38 high. If price manages to get above it, and it does, and it gets above it and it holds, shows acceptance above, and we get up there with strength and momentum, and price starts telling us, hey, we're going to move higher. At that point, what we're going to do is we can start looking for pullbacks that get us long into that area, right? And what we're going to be our first target is going to be up at the settlement, right? So I think that there's a strong possibility here. Our overnight inventory is kind of neutral, but we've been in a bullish uptrend, and we've formed a higher low from yesterday's low. Okay, and that seems to be being respected here in the overnight session. We put in a higher low at 74.07. Again, sticking with the trend, and this is our most bullish argument. If we can get above 74.38, 74.40, and it holds and it shows us, gives us some acceptance, at that point we're entering long ideas and we're looking to target the settlement. We're taking our scales along the way, but also what we're looking for is ultimately maybe even a target up to yesterday's high, 74.58, and then even maybe up to the overnight high to satisfy the 96% statistic. Again, Open drive higher that gets us above 73.35 to 74.40. Price consolidates. It shows us acceptance. At that point, we're thinking long ideas. We're taking long trades. We're targeting the settlement at 74.51. We're targeting yesterday's high at 74.58. And then ultimately the overnight high at 74.69. Okay. All right. So that covers the most bullish argument. Let's get into the most bearish argument. So we're opening at 74.21 and immediately we get that liquidation break. Okay. So we're going to cover the most bearish argument on the right-hand chart. Follow me here. We get the liquidation break just off the open. Okay. And price cuts through value area low. Remember, value area low for today is coming in for yesterday's regular trading hour session. It's coming in at 74.18. Let me just get the graphic up. 74.18 is yesterday's value area low. So if price cuts below, and you can see here, right, we can easily see that it's acting as support. Okay. You can see value area low, 74.18. Price has been acting as, has been holding as support in the overnight session. So if we get the break, then immediately what we're going to look for is, okay, let's judge the strength and the momentum of this liquidation break. And we're going to be looking for short entries that, with our risk marker being really, really tight, being 74.18, maybe 74.20. We'll see how this candle closes. And at that point, we're looking to target the overnight low and then possibly even a move lower to challenge yesterday's low down at 74.76. And so one thing that we did see a lot of last week was we saw these early morning liquidation breaks, and that's typical of an uptrend, right? So when you see that, when you have that overnight inventory that's, that's long and off the open, maybe you get a little somewhat of a rally, or you get the liquidation break and you cut through a couple of supports. Bears think that they have that this is going to be the big move lower, and instead price just consolidates and then retraces, reclaims a level, and then starts to move higher. But let's just be open to that. I think that this is a pretty strong idea because we are knocking on value area low, and it gives us a definitive risk marker, right? So if we do get below value area low, we close, we show acceptance below there from 74.18 to 74.07. There's about 10 points in that trade, and then hopefully maybe we can even get a move down to yesterday's low. All right, so that covers the most bullish argument. We also covered the most bearish argument. Now let's get into the trap trades, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the value areas if we have some time. As you all recalled, yesterday, we had the great move over. We consolidated. We moved lower, and then we broke out over the overnight high. We had the strong pullback to overnight high, and then we rallied over it, for a very nice trade. I know some of you all caught it in the room. I got a couple of DMs. Very happy about how we stuck to the process and executed that trade. So I'm always happy to hear that. When you have successes like that, guys, please share them, post them in the chat, post them on socials. That gets people motivated, that gets people, gives people more conviction. And it also helps us, it gives us conviction in our process, right? We do this every day, and these patterns play out pretty much every day. All right, so let's talk about the bullish trap trade. All right, so we're opening here at 74.21. And price rallies over. Remember, we're going to use the daily open, our opening print, as a marker, or as a fulcrum to see how the day is going to develop. And the reason why that's important is I'll get to it in a minute. So say we get up to and we breach over 74.35, 74.40, and okay, we're bulled up. We're thinking long trades. We're taking longs on pullbacks, but instead price gets up to the settlement, right, and maybe even looks above it. And instead, we start to retrace and we start to move lower. At that point, it's going to be very important to see where our opening print is, because if we trade back below that opening print, it's going to signal to us, hey, we might have a liquidation break here. Okay, so the bullish trap trade idea for today. Since the settlement is 74.51, that's about 25 points above us, it really makes the bullish trap trade very far away. So give it some time to materialize. All right, let me just draw this out a little bit more cleanly. But we get the open, price rallies up, breaches, gets through the settlement, right? 74.51 is the settlement. 74.54 is value area high. 74.58 is yesterday's high. I love when these areas are stacked like that, because it gives us, within a 10-point band, we can use that as our risk marker. It gives us a really strong visual and structural reference from which to trade around. All right, so we get above yesterday's high. We get somewhere in this area, somewhere between 74.50 and 74.60. Price looks above, and it starts to peter out. At that point, if we get back below the settlement. Now remember, we're going to get really tactical about this. So coming up into the settlement, 74.51, we'll probably see a fade, right? Because we know from our experience tells us that typically price fades from the settlement. But say we get to the settlement and price doesn't fade very much, it just immediately starts to move higher. We get over 74.58, and then at that point, price starts to wick. It starts to show consolidation that fails right back into yesterday's range, getting back below 74.58, and then ultimately gets back down to the settlement, 74.51. Now, if price fails to hold 74.51, the settlement, us knowing that it typically bounces there, and that bounce is tepid, it's mediocre, we start to move lower, back below the settlement, that's going to be a huge sell for us. We're going to start thinking, okay, this breakout up here failed, and price is going to start moving lower. We need to trade lower, find some more buyers at lower prices. At that point, great for us. We trade on the day time frame. We'll start looking for short entries with using the settlement and yesterday's high as our risk marker. At that point, we're looking for our first target to be the opening print, which is going to be down here somewhere. We're trading 74.21. And once we get below there, we can start targeting the opening print and ultimately value area low. We know that when price enters value area and price is accepted within the prior day's value area, typically what you're going to see is price retrace to the opposite end of value. Okay, so that covers the bullish trap trade. Let's talk about the bearish trap trade. 74.21 is our open. That's great today. I've been able to use the same reference for all the trades. So we're opening up at 74.21 and we get that liquidation break. Say we get down to the overnight low and we get that peter out, right? We start wicking and price starts bouncing and starts chopping and consolidating. Remember team, we want to wait. We don't want to ever be the first one in. It's less risky and better trading if you allow structure to build. So if we get down here and price wicks, let's not hit that buy button right away. Let's give it a close. Let at least a 5-minute candle close, preferably a 15. Let it play out. Let somebody else's money figure out if that support is going to hold. Once they demonstrate that, once the big money, deep pocket traders are in there and they're holding price, the institutions are active and they're showing that they're willing to buy it there, they're willing to support the market. At that point, we come in, we pay up a little bit, but I'd rather pay higher and have lower risk exposure than to be the first one in and try to nail the bottom and then just get stopped out over and over again. And then I have to retake a trade, right? But now my profit is much more reduced because I already took a stop in that area. All right, if we get down below overnight low and we start to see that consolidation and we start to put in higher lows with wicks, at that point, we're going to start looking at this local high that gets formed on the bounce. We're going to start looking for a break of that local high, being this one here. Okay, if we get a break of that local high and we have a higher low structural reference that we can use, we can start looking for, okay, acceptance back above or back within the overnight range, back above 74.07. If we get back above 74.07, we're looking for long trades with our risk marker being this higher low structure that develops on the bounce. And at that point, we're looking for longs that get us back into, of course, taking our scales along the way, but value area low being 74.18 becomes our first point of reference where price can be rejected. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have our stops at break even as we're approaching there. We want to make sure that we're monitoring the price action to see if there's continuation. If price gets rejected from there, then no harm, no foul. There was about 15 points of price in that trade, so I'm sure we can get some scales off. If price gets rejected, then fine, we'll break even on the last, we'll close the trade, we'll move on to the next idea. If price does get back into value, then at that point we're going to be looking for what the opening print was. Did price get back through the opening print, and maybe even get a runner back up to a true gap fill up at the settlement? Okay. Yep, that bearish trap trade is one of my favorites. I missed it yesterday when it materialized. I don't know if I'm not sure if you guys remember yesterday. It happened like right around here where we took out that low, and then we just were off to the races. It was a great trade off of a market blueprint support. Worked out really well. All right, team. So that covers the most bearish. That covers the bullish trap trade. That covers the bearish trap trade. Let's talk about the dreaded sideways move. We haven't had it in all week, really, and going even back into last week, which probably raises the probability a little bit more. So see here, you can see that price in the overnight session, price has tested below the value area and above the value area. See, at about let's see, what time was that? It's about 6:15, right off the Globex open, 6:15 Eastern time. We came down, we dipped, we got below the value area, and then immediately price reclaimed. And this is the stuff I'm talking about, right? We reclaimed value area low here. And then what happened? We traded all the way up back to the opposite end of value. And that's the typical tendency that you see when price gets back into the prior day's value area. But furthermore, we see that we went above value area high, above yesterday's high, and it was rejected. Some of us took that short trade there on the rejection on the wick here and got short using yesterday's high as our risk marker. And then what? Price came all the way back down to value area low. So we've traversed the value area twice in the overnight session. What does that tell us? Well, it's not really a change in the perception of value from yesterday in the overnight session. Okay, lately on the Artemis move to the moon, we've seen a lot of higher value day in and day out, where price gets rejected from the prior day's value. It holds its support, and that's traders are willing to value the ES mini at a higher price, and we've gone higher. That's not what we're seeing anymore. We're starting to see some consolidation. We talked about that in the higher time frame analysis, and in the overnight session, getting a little bit more granular with it, we could see that that's what we're seeing here, right? We've traversed the value area twice, and yet we haven't gotten really anywhere. Going back, let me just dial back quickly to the higher time frame. You can see that we're forming a higher low consolidation, and we are knocking on the value area low. Let's just keep that in mind. All right. So that covers it for this morning, team. I tried to get on a little bit earlier this morning, but again, the scheduling change has not really fully taken effect in the Manny household, so it will be next week. So stay tuned for that. All right, there we go. There's our opening bell, and we're off. Make sure you got that. You jot down that opening print. So our opening print for today is 74.23.75. 74.23.75. Okay. All right. Live Action says, I'm long CL off Iran news. They're not giving up enrichment uranium. Also, I'll be watching soybeans on the open with potential China buying and fertilizer issues. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. I like it, Live Action. I like it. Reverie says, crude on a rampage after yesterday's BS headline fake out. The headline has faded, but record crude draws and supply disruptions remain. Interesting. Yeah, Rev knows about crude there, live action. Pay attention to that. All right, let me just dial into the day here. Let me just make sure that I have these algorithms all on the same page. If you team, if you guys, if you want the market blueprint, the levels are on the X feed at Manny_trends. Check it out there. Kind of a new format today. New format in that I combine the execution clock and the market blueprint into one post. Finally got I was able to get an image there. You know, I use AI images, so that's not so text heavy. So working on getting that a little bit, you know, getting that a little to be a little bit more squared away. Thanks for bearing with me on that one. All right. Just see where we are. Delphine, market blueprint on X was for Tuesday the 19th. Oh, that's that's exactly let's see. Delphine, that's what I was talking about with the AI. It's it makes all these different errors. Okay, the information on it is correct. The supports are correct and the clock is correct. The one thing I'm seeing that is wrong, correct. You are right. The Tuesday May 19th date is wrong, but what really matters on this are the execution times. Okay, so the execution times are correct, and the supports are correct. You can see here I have my master sheet right next to it, and we can easily see. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I'm still trying to get this correct. You know, still trying to get it right. And this was the best I could do in the short amount of time I had. Had to get the kids to school this morning. I have one kid home sick from school today, so thanks for bearing with me. Yeah, you can see 74.69, 74.69, 74.14. That's really the important part, right? That's where the rubber meets the road. The supports, the levels, and the times. Okay, yeah, thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it. Yep, I'll start putting. This is going to be what it should, what it's going to look like from now on. Just bear with me while the AI image generator could be pretty inconsistent. I'm trying to get a master template. So bear with me while I get that sorted out. I wanted to put it out in one document so that everyone can have one reference. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate it. Appreciate the feedback. I'll stick with that format. It's something I've been having in the back of my mind. It's I mean, I'm not complaining about anything. It's just it takes a bit of time to get all that stuff together, and I get up I get up pretty early. I'm almost pretty embarrassed to say it, but so I'm up probably at about 4 a.m. Okay, and from the time I wake up to the time I go on live with you, it's one thing after the other. So immediately I start looking at what we did reviewing yesterday, and then I start drafting today's trade plan. At that point, hopefully, I'll get within my trade plan. I'll get a level that we're trading at, like I did this morning at that resistance point. And then after that, it's answering emails, just getting all this stuff together for the show, getting the ideas, making sure the analysis is correct, and then getting a workout in before I start that stuff. I get a workout in, and then after I do that, I got to take a shower, get dressed, get a cup of coffee, get the kids to school. So yeah, it gets a little hectic, but I love it. I'm not complaining at all. I'm super fortunate, super blessed to be able to do what I do. And my wife is great. She's very supportive. None of this would be possible without her. All right. So let's just see here. Let me get these algorithms in check. I want to disable this one. I don't intend to attack the market today. Just to be to you know to in the issue of full transparency. Uh, I've had a really good run over the last. I think I'm on like day uh 13 or day 14 of of green, solid green days. And yeah, I'm just looking to be a little bit more conservative. But who knows? I've said that before, and it's turned out to be really great. I mean, I remember last Thursday specifically, I was talking to a trader buddy of mine, and we were pretty much taking the same setups on that day. And I traded the micros. I traded micros that day, and he crushed it. Had a big P&L day, and I you know I mean, I traded my plan. I executed well, and I could consider that a success. However, I didn't want to take on incur a lot of risk, and so I didn't get the upside, which is fine. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I had all of these in alignment. See here, we have a CCI crossover that may trigger here, and then the A4. This A4 would have me short at 74.21. I did not take it I should have taken on this one. I didn't. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Another day, another trade. I left G. Yeah. How you guys doing? How's your week? How have your weeks been coming along? Hopefully, you guys are making some coin. All right, moving lower here, team. Moving lower here. We're getting below value area low. Below value area low. All right. We're below value area low. Thus far, we've opened 74.23, 75, and price went up 74, 72, 74.24, and it's been nothing but sell since. All right. So stay alert here. Stay alert. Looks like we're getting that liquidation break. All right. Let's see what happens on a pullback to a value area low at 74.18 if we get it. Let's see if we get it. And then you're targeting, we'd be targeting value area. We'd be targeting value, overnight low. Apologies. Watch this here, retesting. Retesting that overnight low. I'm sorry, value area low. You can see here the algo is trying to execute it. You see that? You see that? It's trying to execute it. It's got one on, and then it's looking to add more to it at 74.15. Okay. Let's go ahead and disable this one. All right, so it's looking for 74, 11, 12. Great. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it. Yep. Man, thank God for AI. Really helpful. I'm going to clean it up. I have a ton of stuff, a ton of to-do lists on for Monday since we don't have any since we don't have and the market's going to be closed. But I'm going this weekend. I'm going away with my just me and my dog, me and my 14-year-old daughter. We're going to take a trip. She's playing in a tournament across the state, so I'm not coaching. I'm just going to watch. I'm going to get to enjoy being a parent. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to. It's like 5-hour drive across the state. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Large Void said, so much better since I've joined this group. The structure has been disciplined framework I needed. I'm still working on the muting the boredom trades. Yeah, Large Void. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it, pal. All right, guys, coming down into that first target, 5 for 5 points off of 74.16 short. Looking for a fill down there. All right, got it. Filled plus 5 points. Plus 5 points on the short. Again, this is the setup that we framed out this morning. Let's pull up we'll lower the time frame on the 15-minute chart, but you can see here we traded below. Let's get really granular with it. Okay, so this is what we outlined at the open. We said if we get below, we show acceptance below value area low. We pull back to it. We hold as resistance. Now we're looking for its next target being the overnight low 74.07. Team, let's look out. Let's see. I have my scale a little bit ahead of it, 74.08. Reverie says, I've got $20 that says Manny rushes the field in the minute the umpire calls out. Yeah, no, I don't want to embarrass her. Yeah. Heads up, live action. Thank you for the update. PMI in 2 minutes, team. PMI in 2 minutes. PMI in 2 minutes. Stay alert. Stay alert here. Okay, there's PMI. There's PMI. I'm pretty sure this gets me out. It should get me out at this bar. If we breach 74.19, I know that's the way it's programmed. If we breach 74.19, I'll be out of this trade. Pretty sure about that. All right. All right, that's out. I'm out of there. I'm out of that. All right, I have a market blueprint set up here. See if it works out. Let's check in with the folks on the tube. Coming back down into retesting that level, retesting the level. Yep, it's yeah, no go, no go. Not yet. Nope. Just looks like it still wants that overnight low. I'll let you know if I do anything. Yeah, no go. Let's wait till it gets. I think it wants to get down there to the overnight low and kind of like flush it. Let's see. I'm watching the delta here closely, so let me focus. Yep, it's going down for that overnight low. 7407. Looks like that's where it's going. Trying to focus in on the order flow here. See if I can get a clean read. With that overnight low sitting right there, I would rather it get down there and flush that and then reclaim. But the support level is right here, so it's a bit dicey. I just want to make sure that I don't miss it if it does reclaim. But we are now below that support, so this is an important support too. Yep, it's coming back down. Yep, it's not holding. All right, let's see. Do or die now. You can see them pressing here. Let's see if they get trapped. Bears are pressing. Yep. Bears are pressing. Hang tight. I'll give you a cleaner read as soon as I can. I just really want to stay focused on the price action, on reading the tape, because we have that market blueprint set up here. All right, I'm long 74.16. I'm long 16s. Small position. We've only got 2 contracts on. Let's just look at it on Thinkorswim. Yeah, we can't get above. We can't get back into value. That's the problem. We got to get back into value here. What's the tick doing? Tick has been straight up. Yep. All right, I'm out. 13 out. Wait. Yep. I'm all right with that. Oh, look at that. Back in. I'm back in. I'm back in. Oh, look at that bounce. Look at the bounce. Here we go. I only got one on. I only have one on, team. I only got one on. Dang it. Unbelievable. I only got one. I got one at 6. I got back in at 1650. Dang it, man. I only got one. Oh, brother. Oh, wait, that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right, looking for 36 on this. 36.50. 36, looking for 36.50. Let's see. Let's make sure that that target makes sense. $36.50. If there news out or something, hang on, hang tight. If there news, Iranian news, am I going to get paid more on this if I extend it a little bit? 41.50. Can I get 41.50? Nope. I'm running into problems here. 36.50 is a. Hang on. What am I looking at here? What is this high? This high, the 38 high we framed out earlier. Oh crap! We're going to put in a lower high here. Be on alert. Let's see. I'm just reading the price action here, team. I might have to take a dynamic exit on this. I'm going to leave it at 41.50 for now. See what the low looks like. The low was 74.10. What's the structure look like on this? What are the internals saying? The internals are mixed. Let me protect on this point and click trade. Very volatile here. Iranian news out. There's some Iranian news out. See if I can get that from the feed. Hang tight. Nope. Dang it. I didn't get to full position on this, but I'll take what I can get. I'll take what I can get. Running into problem. Let's see. I'm watching the order flow here very carefully, team, because this is the area that we framed out in the pre-market, right? We knew that this area, this is the need for bulls right here. This is the need for bulls. I'm going to take a dynamic exit on this. I want to see if we can reclaim this area. And if we do, then I'll hold this and maybe potentially add to it on the setup that we outlined in the pre-market. Oh, let's see. I'm watching the tape really carefully here. I'm watching for loss of momentum. We've got some loss of momentum here. What are my ticks doing? Looks like is this thing going to fill the gap? I don't know. 11, 19. I've got to be willing to accept that if I hold it, that it will retrace and I might lose. Not lose, but I won't gain as much on it as I want. And am I willing to do that? We ran into a problem here at that reference, right? We ran into a problem here. So it was the first touch fade at that area we outlined in the pre-market, right? First touch fade. So thus far, we traded 40 and then pulled back to 31. I don't want to see it go much lower, though. I want to start getting higher. If not, then I'm going to just close it. Hang tight. I've got an inspection going on here at my house today, so, and the inspector's outside. So we faded on the first touch of those 35-40 area we mapped out. If any of you sold it, good on you. Stuck on the opposite end in this retracement. Not sure what's going to happen here. I have to step away. I have to step away here shortly. I have somebody knocking on my door. Let me just see the structure, though. Hang tight, team. All right, I'm back. Terrible time to have somebody knocking at your door, right? Unfortunately, that appointment was set long ago. All right, moving higher. Let's see if we can reclaim that 73.40 area. See if we can claim it. Tyson points out Al Jazeera Iranian official denies reports that Iran Supreme Leader said that uranium must stay in Iran. Man, it's like a circus going on with the news, right? Circus environment. Thanks, Anna. Appreciate it. Anna says, Anna's pointing out the Al Jazeera report. Good. Thanks, guys. Thanks, team. So see if we can get 46.50 on it. That'd be nice, right? 46.50. So it looks like we're reclaiming we're testing that band right now, team. So we're testing that band. It seems like we're getting some acceptance above that area that we said we wanted to reclaim. So let's see if they can continue to drive this higher. Let's see. Come on. Don't lose Momo on me now. Let's go. Come on. Iran denied the report. Let's go. Artemis moves to the moon. Don't stop now. What are our ticks doing? Are we going up for a true gap fill? Come on. Let's get up there. Scoot. The gap fill comes in at, let's see, what was the gap fill? Gap fill is 74.51.75. 71.54.75. $71.54.75. I'm offered at 74.46. Let's see. Yep. I want to turn this on now. Still got some room there. Nothing going on here. I'm going to leave this one off for now. That 74.43.75 is the current high. But we're working into that band that we isolated during the pre-market prep, right? 73.35 to 73.40. We're kind of like now testing into that area. Let's see if we can get a couple of closes and see if we can gain some acceptance in this area, and then maybe potentially move higher. We did get the first touch fade, so that was expected, right? Let's see if they can reclaim it and hold it. Hang tight. Sorry, team. Hang tight. Hello. Hey, sorry about that. Oh, what are we trading? Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, what was the all right, so I got long here on the algo got me long at 36.50. I have a lot of distractions going on. That mentioned earlier today. I have my kid's home from school today. He's not feeling well. And I have an inspection going on outside. He's outside. So just a little bit going on here at the Manny household. Not to worry though, I won't leave you. I won't leave the team. Committed to it, committed to this. So we put in that high of 43.75, and now that seems to be the marker to take. So I've got a long at 36.25, looking for the first target at 39.25. Let's see if we can get a fill there. Let's go. Seems like we have a bit of waning momentum here. Price is just kind of stalling out. And I don't know if that's consolidation for a continuation of the move higher, or if it's going to be a reversal. We don't know. Nobody knows. But we're back into value, right? Back into value. Let's get this on a 15-minute. Stick to the process. All right, got that first target. I got that target here. Got the first target off. Nice. Nice. So all the longs are working. Got the long on the left from the 74.16. And now I got this. I got an algorithm long looking. I got the first target for 3.5 points. It's not. I got the second one just filled right there. Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. Everything's working out here nicely. Everything's working out here. Let's take a look at the profile. I'm going to give you a read on the internals. There were 1.2 to 1 negative on the NYSE, 1.5 to 1 positive on the NASDAQ. The Russell's over its overnight high. NASDAQ is much in the same look as the ES. Tying up the risk on this. No need to let it come all the way back down there. If it comes back down and it stops me out, so be it. Got a couple scales out of it. That's all I wanted. And this one is ultimately looking for a target of 74.46. Ooh, look at that. It lines up perfectly with this target here, 74.46. That's interesting. Looking good on time. If you guys are following the execution clock, go to if you're not, we're looking good on time. Where the window opens is open now. We need to get over this 43.75 here though. Like, let's go. Come on. No need to stall here. Come on, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Let me know how you all are trading it. Let me know how you're doing. Are you guys? Are any of you in this long with me? All right. The algorithm moved me to break even. So I'm at break even at 36.25 on the last one there. Inability to challenge that 43.75, the 74, 43.75. We traded up really close to it, and now we're petering off again. So yeah, just a little bit of a momentum stall here. All right, momentum stalled. Inability to test it. Oh, crap. Now he's at my door again. All right, team, I have to close this out. I'm going to take the 15. I'm going to take the 15 here. For, let's see. Oh, crap. Oh, man. Hang on. Hang tight. Seems like I got a data issue here. Shit. My Ninja Trader's frozen. Dang it. Dang it. I had to relaunch Ninja Trader, team. Hang tight. Platform crashed. My platform crashed. There goes again. Jesus. Crap. Oh. Look at this. Dang it. I've got a platform issue here, guys. Pretty much worst case scenario. The worst case scenario you can imagine getting happening right here live. All right, it's coming back up now. All right, that was pretty horrible. Let me make sure I don't have anything open. Still booting back up here. Hang on, still loading back up. I'll keep you guys on this Thinkorswim chart. Oh, man, tough one. You get the chart up. Let me get the position open. All right, so no need. I'm not gonna panic, right? I'm not going to panic. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of numbers on the screen, right? All right, so I'm not sure what happened here, but I'm long 74.23. Let me just go. What the hell happened? Let me go put in a protective stop, at least. Put a stop in below the low. I don't want to panic here. I certainly don't want to panic. So what do we get? We got the rejection from 74.04. Let me look at the thinkorswim chart to get my bearings. And it says scary when you're in a trade. Yeah, I'm not sure. It just sucks. It just sucks. You know, it's obviously it's not what I wanted, right? I wanted to go hit my target, but I'm not gonna panic. So all right, so we pulled up. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out which strategy has me in here because I don't want to execute a trade and then it counters that trade. So I'm just going to close everything out. I just closed everything out. Let me make sure I get everything right here. The 74.23. What is that? Just close it. Man, I can't. All right. What the hell happened? I'm flat everything. I'm flat everything here. I just want to I need to make sure that nothing is going. All right. No harm, no foul. I'm still pretty good. But what was that? And you know what? Let me focus on the stream. So team, look, this is what we got. We got up to that 74.40 area we outlined in the pre-market, and what did price do? Right, immediately got rejected. We actually the bulls tried to hold it. Right, I'm not sure if it was news or something. I had several distractions going on today. I have an inspector outside of my house, and I have my kid home sick from school. But it looks like we got rejected from that area. And now we're going right back down to the lows. Dang, that sucked, man. I was like within like a few points of my target. It's not just no, and it says not just numbers, it's your funds. Yeah. Yep, you're right about that. I'm trying to be lighthearted about it, you know, because while you are right, and you're 100% right, Anna. But here's the thing, right? I can't dwell on it. There's nothing I can do about it now, and I don't want to carry it into the next trade. So all right, so you know, and my P&L is still So what did I didn't lose anything. I just didn't gain as much as I'd like. Um, yeah. Oh Jesus! Look, it just executed again and froze. Oh shit. All right, I gotta shut this down. It's got me short at 74.20. Unbelievable. I just turned that thing on. Fuck. I'm in my backup platform. I'm in my backup platform right now. Yeah, so I'm in my backup platform. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like it's nothing, right? Because it is something, but I don't want to carry it over. So always look, team, always have like a backup platform, right? This is my backup. It's just a dome. You could see what I've done here today, but it's just my dome, and you always got to have a backup platform. This one's a good one. It's called Delta Trader. Ninja Trader's coming back up again. I'm going to give it one more whirl. All right, I'm going to try to reconnect this now. I'm not going to panic. Nothing good can come of panic. And I'm not going to freak out about. At least I'm not going to freak out yet. I'm not going to freak out yet. I'm very close though. All right. So here's the 74.20 low. I'm going to just go ahead and take some profit on this one right now. I've got 3 points in it. Why not, right? With the way this day's been going, I just took one off for 3 points. I don't have a clear read of the price action. Dang it, here it comes again. I'm out. I closed it. Look, but see, this is the weird thing. Check this out, right? Like I closed it. And so look, I closed it. Look, here's you can see like this is what I've done for today. I closed it. Oh, it was still showing. All right, never mind. You can see that it was showing open for a little while there. You guys can see that? Is the trade showing open? All right, never mind. Wait a minute. Now this is frozen too. What the fuck? Hey, Bruce, you know about this, right? Hey, Bruce, you've been through this before. Bruce knows what I'm going through. So I did. So this is actually right. This is a good thing to talk about today. Let's kind of ad lib and go into some of, this is I like. So you all are seeing it real life, right? Um, Case in point, right? So what happened? What was the bad part? Well, the bad part was that I had a good trade on and I didn't get my fill. All right, fine, got it. What am I going to learn from that? Well, I want to make sure that I'm aware that okay, I don't, you know, so what I want to express that I didn't panic, right? Because it's happened to me before, and I've completely like there was a time that I panicked out of a position, and I just made it like 5 times worse, because I remember I was clicking the button so much, I ended up like getting long and getting short, getting long, and getting short, and I lost like $800 inside of like 30 seconds from just clicking. So that's where this calm comes from. Um, it also comes from uh, me understanding that there's nothing to be gained with with panicking. Right? I can always, I'm confident in my ability to trade. I can always get the money back. I'm confident of that. So the other lesson to be learned here is that you should always have a backup platform, right? I didn't go to my backup fast enough. I should have went to it a little bit sooner, right? I should have went and gotten onto Delta Trader a little bit sooner. I didn't, because I had confidence that I would be able to get back into Ninja Trader. Let's go, Anna. One anecdote from this morning. I'm 5 hours ahead of Eastern time. I was short the Dow, closed for 20 points. Within 2 minutes, news must have hit. The Dow dropped 250 points. Yeah, so that's going to happen too, right? The myth time that exit. News must have hit. The Dow dropped 250 points. It's disappointing. Yeah, Anna, that's going to happen, right? That comes with the territory. That comes with trading. And so I think the most important thing that we can learn from what happened to me today, let's all learn from it, right? So that it makes us better traders. The most important thing that we need to learn from that is that I can share with you is don't panic, right? Because nothing good can come of panic. It's like it's the first thing that they teach you as in if you're ever in trouble in the water. The first lesson is don't panic. The second thing is make sure that you have a backup platform, right? Make sure that you have something that you can easily, outside of what you're doing, have an easy way of logging in and checking your orders or closing a position. Let's make sure that you have that. And I hope I'm not sounding disingenuous or, like I'm not taking any of this seriously. No, I know it's very serious, but I'm not. So another lesson that I want to share with you is that because emotions play such a high, such a play are such an important factor in trading. We have to be careful to not let one occurrence derail us from our process, from what we're trying to accomplish on the day, right? We want to make sure that that we learn from it, but then move on, right? They just try to get something good out of it if you can, and but certainly for at least for me, there was a time when I would when something like this would happen to me, and I would carry that occurrence with me into the next trade, and so it would turn out to be one loss would turn out to be a tilt day because I would go back and the way I learned this was from writing it down and journaling. I learned in my journal that wow, it was like that one mistake happened that one mistake happened at 10:07 in the morning, and I wrote it down. Luckily, I wrote it down, and then I would be able to see the other entries later on the day and reading it in the future later on reading it, going over it. I realized that that one occurrence was what sparked my unravel and led to a tilt day. So I hope that helps you out. I hope we all can learn something from this occurrence today. We need our technology to earn our living. We need our computers, and they're not perfect. They crash. Your internet can go down. Your machine can crash. All these things can happen, and we have to make sure that we account for them. Yeah, Anna points out backup data critical. Absolutely. Make sure that you have a backup platform in which to trade. You guys saw that I was quickly able to pivot to a backup platform and log in and at least monitor the situation. Um, and then maybe it wasn't the best on me to not to like I can think right now. Okay, I should have closed that trade at the high. And when I logged back in, when he had put me short at 74.20, I think there was like 3 points in that trade, right? I could have closed that out. But I didn't want to I wanted to look at the chart, see what was going on. And I wanted to figure out which strategy had gotten me into that trade so that I could close it appropriately and it not. So if I would have just panic click close, I don't know if I was going to leave a rogue order out there. And so I just wanted to close it out. I wanted to make sure I got my bearings, maintained my composure about me, make sure I'm making a good, informed decision without just, click it, man, on fire. I wanted to keep my calm about myself. And now I can look back on it and say, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Of course, that's trading. Easy Money points out, man, he heard a story of a woman at a major prop whose career ended due to platform. That's really her career ended due to platform issues. Clicking the button and completely undid her position. Yeah, wow, that's tough. That's tough. She was the top trader at the firm. At a major prop firm whose career ended due to platform issues. Man, they didn't have any compassion for her. I mean, it wasn't her fault. I mean, did she panic? How did they judge her? Because if it was a platform issue, how did they judge her for that? It doesn't seem like it was. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's fair. Well, I think she was upset. Okay, so she got upset, and then okay, so sometimes it seems like she had a platform issue. She got upset and she panicked, and then the firm kind of canned her for that. Am I understanding this correctly? She went down hundreds of thousands. Oh, that'll do it. MeJT points out, if one trade undid her career, I doubt she was a top trader. Just my opinion. Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with me, JT too. I've yeah, I have confidence in my ability to trade. So I know that if I even if I as long as I don't take a wild, a disastrous loss, I'm pretty sure that I can claw my way back. Especially now, yeah. I mean, you can even claw your way back slowly but surely with micros. Just take your setups, manage them well, and keep your head down and get to work. You'll get it. But I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to do that. Um, I'll reassess later on. And so, look, I gave up what was an unrealized gain of I don't know how much that was. Like I think at one point I was pretty close to 20 points on that. And again, and I'm not trying to be disingenuous about what happened. Of course, it bothers me. I'm not sitting all day long to I'm not paper trading. Like this is the way I this is literally the way I feed my family. Okay. So yeah, it means something. But I also know the weight of carrying that over into the next trade and throughout the day is more detrimental than me getting my panties in a bunch about it right now. And it says, do you have a backup on your iPhone via an app so you can access 5G if PC loses? Exactly, Anna. So here, I'll show you guys. I have multiple backups, right? So look, I keep a backup modem right here, brand new, that I can plug plug in at any time that I want. I can plug it in, and it's a Wi-Fi router. I bought it from Verizon just for this. Okay, and then I'm hardwired throughout my house to a landline. But I bought that for backup, so that if in case my PC goes, my internet goes down, I can get back on. And so I know how to use it. I just got literally just got to boot it up. I've done it already. I've tested it, and all of my main network is configured to it. So I literally just have to boot it up and wait for it to get up. Okay. So I definitely have that. And then I also have the backup of my phone. So I can use my 5G phone to connect. And I've literally tried that also. I can connect this system that I'm talking to you on now to my phone and connect. And I also can have a backup laptop that I can connect via Wi-Fi through my phone as well. So multiple layers of redundancy. But yeah, it's important to have a backup. Let's learn from this occurrence today, right? Let's learn from it. A couple of good. Let's let every situation that happens to us on the stream. Let's let it make us better. Let's like learn from each other. Let's focus on okay, what happened? How can we make sure? Is there anything that we could have done differently to prevent that? And furthermore, the next time, if it does happen again, how should we behave differently? And those are the questions that I'm asking myself. Like, could I have closed that trade when the inspector was knocking at my door? It could have went either way. I had to stop in. I was distracted. I had, yeah. In hindsight, I should have closed it. I hate doing the hindsight thing. What else? When the platform started crashing, I should have not tried to turn it back on right away. But how was I going to know it wasn't going to work again? More importantly, just important to have that backup. No harm, no foul. I mean, I showed you guys my P&L for the day. Full transparency there. So it's not, I could have ended a lot worse. I could have been sitting here with a $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 loss, and then I'd have to roll my sleeves up and I'd have to, put my big boy pants on and get to work. But yeah, I'm almost happy that happened. In a weird, in a weird way. I'm glad it happened because it allowed for a good teachable moment. All right, let's get back to the market. Let's see how I'm going to redemption. I'm looking for redemption here, guys. Where's the next setup? Let's see. All right, so what do we know thus far? All right, so we traded up. We were so we did essentially a look above and fail to the area we outlined in this morning, right? So we knew that we wanted to see price demonstrate some acceptance to 74.35. Conversely, though, here's the other thing. On the same foot, we knew we had to get up above here. All right, let's just walk through the logic. So this morning we said, hey, if we needed to get above 74.35, 74.40. So what did price do? It came up, it tested. We could not get a 15-minute close, and we wicked and we sold off. Good, check. All right, so that was a rejection from the gap fill. However, if this was really bullish, if this was really bearish and we were going lower, what should have happened? Well, we should have went like this, right? We should be at least testing the overnight low. And maybe we're on the way there now, and we are getting some wicks here, but it looks like we're going to start to work into that. So that's the next key. Right now in real time, what I'm seeing is that maybe this is going to be a choppy two-way trade day unless we can get below value area low 74.18, and we can test the overnight low at 74.07 and demonstrate some acceptance and some momentum. But thus far, the move back through we've been through the open several times. That's a sign of chop. We're still trading essentially within the first 15-minute range. We have not tagged the overnight high or the overnight low. So all of the RTH session price action has been contained within yesterday's value area and the overnight range. Those are facts. And so is that bearish? I don't think so. That doesn't seem very bearish to me, but it doesn't seem bullish at all. It just seems like consolidation. You know, look, we just printed another doji. We got a doji here. We wicked. We rejected on the high, wicked, came back to the low, we wicked. Still all within value area, and now we just printed a doji. So we're waiting on more information. And I would, if with a gun to my head, I'm going to say this is more. If I had to choose a side, I would have to say that. And if I had to choose a side, and sideways wasn't an option, I would have to say it's more bullish than bearish, just because of where we are. We're consolidating on the higher time frame. Until we break below overnight low and start working into below 7,400 to yesterday's low 73.25, this is all bullish. I mean, I have to look at it that way because that's what the chart is telling me. That's what the real-time read is telling me. Let me know if you guys see it any differently. State your case. Love to hear it. Let me know what I'm missing. Bullish until it's not. I mean, there's bullish consolidation. Look at the higher time frame. This is a 2-hour chart, and we're consolidating above this prior session high. So we're just consolidating here. Look, traded down. We put in this lower distribution here, right? And now we're chopping at the lower range of the hourly higher low. So we are testing the lower portion of the new hourly low. I would think that buyers show up there. I mean, if you're going to buy them, that's where you buy them, right? You didn't buy them down here. Bulls proved it. They took price higher. You buy them here. Unless you got something else. Let me know. Let me know what you see. Now let's see if we can get now that all of that changes. If you looked at the market blueprint, all of that changes if we get below here. If we can start chewing into this area here, 7,400 to 73.75, not wicking, but getting in there and start showing, we start getting some closes down there. If we start getting closes down here and we start spending time down here, maybe up here, right, and then just coming back down, then yeah, then that's an argument, right? But now, Let's see. Looks like we're working right back down. 74.18 value area low. Let's look. First reference would be the 74.07, and we have a potential setup down there, right? If we can get down, if we can close below value area low right now, then maybe we can get a shot at the short trade with our risk marker being 74, 74.20 to 74.25. Anna says, I wanted to graph the difference between distribution and accumulation. So good question, Anna. So distribution is when, okay, let me just bring up this chart. So distribution, I see it as when price gets to a high, right, and it starts wicking, it starts consolidating. In a certain sense, you might want to say that that's what we're seeing here today, is that we keep going up to these highs and we keep wicking, we keep putting in wicks, and then price starts to move lower. All right, so that means that every time price trades higher, it's finding sellers into those highs, right? So they're not selling at the low, but what they're doing is they're taking profits on spikes, okay? Accumulation is the same argument, except inverse. So when we're wicking at a low, and you can make arguments for both today, but when we're wicking at a low, we keep testing the low and we keep bouncing, like we did here at 73.54 on the left-hand chart. All right, this is a better example in that it's a higher time frame. So you can see we spent more time down here. We spent, almost 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours down here testing these lows, and sellers couldn't get price any lower. So that would be accumulation. They weren't buying them over the high, but every time price came down, they bought them. So you can almost look at accumulation and distribution as non-initiative action, right? They're not initiating, but they're willing to sell into highs. They're willing to buy lows, but they're not willing to add to those on momentum. They're just replenishing bids on dips, replenishing offers on rallies, but they're not buying and adding to those positions once it, like what we saw on the move up from the 63.53 low, where we consolidated sideways, we broke out, and then they were adding to their positions. We broke out. You can see it over and over here. Consolidated, right? Little baby consolidation. But each one of these was characterized by a breakout that then moved higher. So we got the breakout here, right above here, and we moved higher. We got the breakout here, and then we moved higher. Does that make sense, Anna? Yeah, look, that's what we're seeing here now. We just went below value area low, and what? It just wicked again. Got all those, all those sellers down there that were saying, all right, we're breaking this time. It's going. Nope. And then just put in another wick. So we went down as low as what? Let's see. We tested down to 74.13, and now we're trading 74.20. That's 5 points. Many people probably got, stopped out. They were chasing it down there. Price, it's going, all right, it's going this time. It's going to go test overnight low. They sold it, sold it on like on a momentum play. And instead, price just wicked again. These days are brutal. You have to be careful on these days. MJT says, Manny, since you asked, I have ABC completed yesterday. Looking for an ABC down, ideally hitting yesterday's optional target, followed by an ABC up, filling the gap. That is not the only read of this, of course, Manny. I have an ABC completed yesterday. Okay, so an ABC down. I see, MJT, I think I didn't cover it here, but I saw the ABC down as well. And I think that's why we're consolidating. above here. Okay, so looking for an ABC down, ideally hitting yesterday's. Okay, so you had an ABC up. Now you're looking for an ABC down, ideally hitting yesterday's optional target. JT, what's your optional target? I know, of course, it's SPX. Okay, so you had an ABC up, right? A, B, C. I mean, really loosely, I can see that for sure. JT, I think, I don't want to confuse folks, but this is, probably a little bit more advanced, but I think this is A, this is going to be B, and ultimately we're going to fill the gap down to C. 73.65, right? Okay, so yep, so that, let me just double check. I think that puts us into the gap. Yeah, that puts us into the gap. That gives us a gap fill. EJT works on SPX. Oh no, 73.65. Okay. $73.65, which is also a fib retrace. Right now, I'm so flat, you could slide me under the door. Funny. Yeah, I'm wondering. This so JT. This is why I have. Again, I don't want to confuse folks, but this is why I drew this fib here, because I'm on alert for if this is the A, and then if this was the B today in the overnight. If this is B, and then we're gonna go down and put the C in. But I don't want to confuse anyone with that. We just on the stream, what we do is we just focus on the day time frame references. We'll take our little scalp trades. We'll try to stay in alignment with the day's dominant forces. We'll do our higher time frame analysis, but really cover it in a way that's easy to understand and that's really easy to execute on. Thanks, JT. Appreciate it. All right, team. So yeah, so heads up. Just be careful. So it's coming to 10:55 right now. But what the thing that stands out to me the most here is, look. So exactly what I outlined. We are 100% within yesterday's value and range. We are 100% within the overnight range. We've tested higher, been rejected. We've tested lower and been rejected without any resolve. We're back to the daily open at 74.2375. These tapes can be brutal. This tape can be brutal. Look, we have right now in the last hour. Look at all the wicks. Let's just look at it in a 5-minute. Right? This is the type of market that when I say, hey, let's cover the potential sideways move, because those can be brutal. This is the worst. My worst enemy right here is a market like this. It's just not doing anything. Because I'm a direct, I take directional trades, and then you get into these moves and they don't go anywhere. And it says, if so, I noted 2 SPX targets from last night's video, 74. Hang on, let me get the previous question there. Yeah, no, hang tight. Yes, Anna, that's Dr. Tennant himself. And Anna says, if so, I noted the 2 SPX targets from last night's video, 74.06.62, 73.65.01. Yep, I believe he just spoke of the 73.65 target. For any of you that don't know what we're speaking of, you can go check out JT, posted a really good analysis, very consistent, super good, disciplined approach. Go check him out on YouTube. All right, so just really quickly, just back to what I was pointing out earlier, is just that we're just chopping around, and team, this could be, as I said, This is, I'm glad that I'm kind of sidelined here. Um, I shared my P&L with you for the day, and I'm happy walking away just like that. I don't want to sit here trying to, and so let's just talk about this, right? We need a break out of this range. I don't want to do anything in here. It'll just you're gonna, what do we do? We buy a. I don't I don't know what to do here. What do you do? Just buy it willy nilly. You buy 74.25 and put your stop at 74.15 and hope for the best. I mean, I guess that's one way. Or do you sell? Here's another thing. The internals are mixed right now. NYSE's negative, NASDAQ's positive. NASDAQ's in its range chopping. Russell's in its range chopping. This is the day that you take a long liquid lunch. Sam B points out 74.15 quarter Tuesday cash high. Also today's pivot point. Half back yesterday, a few ticks higher. Value area low, thick area. High is a weekly pivot point and yesterday's point of control. Short-term traders are running things currently. Yes, Sam, correct. Yep, 74.15 quarter. Yes, Tuesday cash high. I would agree with that. Yeah, we're just chopping around. BJT points out, note that Anna BJT points out that the higher target is now resistance. That's 74.06. Yep, 74.0662, and it is acting as resistance, and it is trading right now. Again, look at that. We're trading into a resistance, and we're bouncing off of a support, all within prior day's range, all within the overnight range. There's just no conviction in this market. Beating a dead horse. You guys get the point. You get the picture. And furthermore, it's a great day for lessons, because furthermore, this is when you have to exercise the most discipline. In that, if you're going to stay at your desk, yes, stay observant, stay alert, stay vigilant, but don't click yourself to death. Don't try to squeeze water out of a rock. Right back into that 74.06 resistance, and now we're moving lower. See if we can get a flush down below the overnight low, down, or at least get below into that range and test it a little bit. And then maybe, we'll get that look below and fail set up where we come back up. Who knows? But that might be a good idea. It's just assessing the risk. It's pretty darn choppy. Pretty darn choppy. Right back up to these highs. Look at this. Yep, right back up. Man, you just got to be careful here. I don't want to do anything in this. What I am interested in is if we can break. What I'm really interested in is I'm more interested. I really like the idea of the look below and fail below overnight low. That I'm going to be on alert for. Set some alerts. If we come down here, chop around, because if we do get a spike down there, price has been telling us that it's probably going to return back to range. Right? Maybe we even get, hang on. We get the break. Break lower. Come back up. Maybe even there's a trap down here and we come back up. And then we start moving up where we do that like that inverted head and shoulders. And we're taking it long on the reclaim of the overnight low. And we're getting it back to value. I like that setup. If it happens. So one of my mentors, she was a female trader, a great trader, and one of the things that stood out to me most about her was that she would, she was really good. Believe it or not, she made great money trading one setup on ES, and her ability to focus and stay focused on that one setup was admirable. So she would focus on this one setup. And I remember the piece that she would have about not trading. Like, so if the trade didn't materialize, and it often didn't, she would shut it down and say, all right, guys, I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. And, and I would be there left like, oh, come on. Having that desire to trade, I desire to execute, and almost somewhat, in awe of her composure, but at the same time, a little bit annoyed that we didn't get to execute anything on that day. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was just like I just hadn't matured yet. And I asked Manny, when you say value, does that mean is that the same as VWAP? Um, no. So let me explain. Hang on a second. So value is a range from the prior day. So the way we get the value area is defined by 70, where 70% of the prior day's volume transacted. So for yesterday, 70% of the volume of the transactions happened between value area low, it's a range, 74.18, and the value area high, 74.54. That's the range. Within that range, there's a price that had the most volume. Okay, and that one is called the volume point of control. One is one singular price, the other one's a range. VWAP is the volume weighted average price. So VWAP is a third component, completely different, separated from the value area or the volume point of control. And VWAP is the volume weighted average price, which is the average price of the volume transacted on that day. And I just put up a small banner that explains that. That's VWAP. And now, Live Action says, I remember reading about a top bond trader now trading the Asia session due to it trading like the old days. Interesting. All right, look. Hey, here you go. Here we go, team. Maybe we get that set up before we. I was just thinking about shutting it down, but here we go. Let's see what we get. I am not running any algorithms right now. Obviously, I learned my lesson. If I do anything, it'll be point and click. Let me just circle back to the market blueprint. I want to see what I have that could potentially trigger down here. So we already traded setup number 2. So I trade a reclaim of setup number 2. I do that. That's still a valid setup. I can do setup number 7. The setup that I want is setup number 1. So I'm interested in number 1 and number 7, and setup number 2 is essentially the one I just outlined with the look below and fail of the overnight low. It's the same thing. The overnight low is 74.07. Setup number 2 is 74.14. So I just trade that as like a reclaim. Thank you. Anna says, thank you. I don't get access to that information. Ree, your female friend, what's her setup? For example, I follow Adam Mancini, whose core setup is a failed breakdown. So Anna, great. I'm glad you brought that up. So Adam Mancini has popularized the failed breakdown. This failed breakdown, before he made it popular, that's a look below and fail. To those of us who've been around a long time, we know that he just changed the name on it. A look below and fail is a failed breakdown, and that term was coined way before Adam Mancini. It was coined a long time ago. I first heard it in the early in the late 2000, like in 2010, from Jim Dalton. It's called a look below and fail. You often hear, the terms are interchangeable. It's the same setup. And my female friend's name, well, I don't want to put her name out there because I know that right now she's out of the public. She has a very tiny social media footprint, very tiny footprint, and she's a very, very private person. So she's a good trader and she enjoys her life. I know that she's very active in horse training, and so maybe I'm giving a little bit away. If any of you know her, then I probably just gave it away, because there are not too many horse traders out there that trade the ES as well as she did. But her setup was a breakout or a breakdown. She would trade breakouts. She was just really good at identifying the levels. And here's the thing about her also. She traded for 5 points, all in, all out, and she never added. She would just take her. It didn't matter if the trade went 25 points. She was out. She'd take that. She'd take her 5 points. She'd shut down the platform and walk away. I'm telling you, an incredible amount of discipline. It didn't. I used to ask you, gosh, why don't you just, take 4 off and hold 1? Nope. She would take it. She'd shut down the platform. She's like, guys, I'm gone for the day. And then she'd leave. And I saw her do this same exact thing for over 2 years. I used to, in the beginning, I told you, I used to be like a little annoyed, but I saw her, and that was what I really learned from her. Was she came in, she had her setup. If it triggered, she'd take it. If it didn't, she'd leave. And she took her piece out and moved on with her day. Incredible amount of discipline, very focused. She analyzed the market, drew up her trade plan. She's the one that really taught me the importance of drawing up a trade plan. Because the only way she would work with me is if I drew up a trade plan. Yeah, she traded breakouts. She was so disciplined at it, and she made a ton of money because she traded all in, all out. And then she told me, she said, Manny, look, I don't need to trade for more points, because her strategy was, if I stay disciplined and I have the win rate that I have now, she had this plan that she was going to compound. She was adding, so essentially she was adding a contract or 2 contracts every quarter as her account size grew and she can handle the risk relative to her win rate. She was going to add contracts. And that's what she said was her strategy to make more money. That I don't want to get more points. That's more risk. What I'll do is I'll compound by adding more contracts, which is brilliant. But you have to be very disciplined. and she had a plan mapped out. I'm sure she's probably trading. I wouldn't. I remember at the time. This is probably over 8 years ago. Um, 8 years ago, she maybe more. Um, at that time, her plan was mapped out to 20 contracts, and it was like in the next 16 or 18 months, she was going to be at 20 contracts. I'm sure God knows where she is now. I haven't asked her. I haven't communicated with her in a few months. Let's say Live Action says, I knew a pro poker player with a similar outlook. He had a target number to reach each session, even if it made the first hour, he would stop. Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. I love that. That's the discipline. That's that guy, who's not in it, And so think about it. Let's just go a little bit deeper into that. We just bounced, and all right, maybe I should be trading this, but we didn't get down there. We didn't test the overnight low, right? I know we didn't. 74.08. We missed it by a tick, by a point. Jeez. Think about the mentality that goes into that, right? That person who's thinks that way is not is we see it as being disciplined, but discipline for them is effortless because they're just being themselves. So forced discipline is fine is temporary. It takes too much willpower to be if you have to force yourself to be disciplined every day. Eventually it'll run out. But if that becomes you, then it's easier. Then all of a sudden you are disciplined. Other people are calling you disciplined, and it's just your way. Man, we came right down a few ticks into that overnight low and then wicked right back up. I mean, you're gonna tell me this is not choppy? Easy Money asks, are initials LR? No, they're not. And and if they were, I would tell you because then I know you probably know her because I don't think very many people know of her. We had a small tiny group chat on WhatsApp, and that chat dissolved. Like it's just not even active anymore. And it's a so interesting recap. One, look and failed breakdown. Yep. NMNT leaves runners. 3, her plan worked for respect. Yep. Yeah, she was great. I'm so fortunate to have had her as a mentor and her working with me for the time that she did. I've had 3 trading mentors, and I probably had gotten the most out of her. Anna points out, financial juice, U.S. Treasury, the results of the 5-year note auction could lead to unscheduled reopening of the 7-year notes if the high yield at auction is between 4.6 and 4.7. Yeah, the bonds have been crazy. The bonds have been selling off so much, so low. It's probably like some country somewhere that's in trouble, just like raising cash. And it says, honestly, Manny, though, the technicals are critical, but when it was at the low just then, Marco Rubio came out with a deal with Iran. Very possible. Yeah, there you go. Yep. That means they're long already, Anna. That means they were already in. All right, here we go. We're back up into the range. Just chopping around. This is so very, very, very choppy. So very, very choppy. I mentioned it in the pre-market. I thought that today would no, not at all, Anna. Not at all. Not at all. Appreciate it. Actually, yep. I love answering the questions. It keeps us engaged. And also, Andy, you should know this, that other folks, I'm sure that other folks have questions, other people have questions, and they're just not asking. And I'm sure that's, in fact, I know that that's helping them because I've while we've been chatting, I've received two direct messages about something that we spoke about. So yeah. So in the pre-market, we kind of we always outline the dreaded sideways move, right? And um, the reason for that is because it can be so it can be such a long day. And so the couple of the things that I have to keep me out of that is if I have a first 5 or 15 minute doji or wide body, and then the following candle doesn't go anywhere, similar to what we did today, immediately I'm already on alert for it. And that's because it's been a hard earned lesson for me, hard learned lesson. Just getting chopped up, and then it feels like the more the more losses I took, the worse it got. And I just learned to stop, to stay away from it. I just learned to, if I get that, if we cannot break outside of that range, I want to wait. Now I wanted to prove it. Now I wanted to prove it to me because I don't want to risk it. Imagine if if you tried to trade, we traded the long, got very close to a 30-point target. It failed. I ran into some trouble. But since then, we sold off to the low, but we just breached that low by a few ticks, by a few points, and now it's right back into the range. So we have to be thinking today, uh, tight range, big fat wide volume profile, and put a resolution. If it does stay here, if we, and another big tell for that is the mixed internals, right? So NYSE's up, Nasdaq is up, the NYSE's negative. That's another sign of a choppy day. The market can't make a decision. The Nasdaq can't, the indexes can't move because they're like a push and pull. You tend to get this look when there's sector rotation going on. And it says is data such as where fair value is at hard to access. I've never had it. Um, hmm. Maybe in a sense, I just think that so for today, I think fair value is just what we're seeing. I think it's just we're not getting any break out of there's been no change in the market's perception of value. Again, we're going to a second day of accumulation. Tomorrow will be big. Trick I use to quickly find value targets is by putting up a naked horizontal chart, looking at chart expansion. This way reduces the noise. Interesting live. Interesting. I've never tried that. But yeah, so I have for balance targets, one of this software that I have calculates them for me. So you can see here, if you look on this chart, uh, let's see, where is it? Let's see, where is it? Okay, right here. So you can see if let's see if I can you guys see this chart? I hope so. If not, I will have to fix that. Let me know how you guys see the chart. So you can see here that the today's balance target low would be 73.95.50. And all that is just a kind of like a range, an initial balance breakout, a breakout, a projection of what the breakout from the initial balance typically is. So typically it'll give you balance target low and a balance target high. But because we have our trading lower value from yesterday, the last time it gave a balanced target was on last Friday. We made the high on Thursday, then we sold off on Friday, and since then it's been lower balance targets. See, balance target, balance target, balance target. Oh, hang tight, team. I've had the I think the inspector's looking for me. You got some coffee. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for waiting for me. So yeah, we're still bouncing around here. I think we had, unfortunately, we didn't have a very exciting trading day like similar to what we had yesterday. Right? I think we're all. I know at least I know I'm disappointed in that. I was hoping to see a little bit more. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I was hoping we would get better price action as we did yesterday. Yesterday was pretty exciting, but that's not what the market gave us today. I, I'm in a weird way. That I'm grateful for what did happen, in that it was certainly a good way to learn to share with the community and with you all, um, how a you know how a professional trader handles a tough situation. Okay, so the lessons going into today are: make sure you have a backup platform, don't panic, and uh, don't trade a choppy market. I think that those are the key lessons that stand out. And furthermore, to that point, yeah, I think it's so. When we were talking about my previous mentor, she just comes to mind now a lot, just because of what I've learned from her, what I got from her. And one thing I want to share with all of you is, if your trading is not where you need it to be, or where you necessarily want it to be, in many ways, my trading is not where I want it to be. I always see room for improvement. I would love to be trading a larger. My dream was always to get to be able to trade a 50 lot for some reason. And so I always have room for improvement. I'm trying to get better every day, and you folks are a big part of that. Trading alongside you people, I think, will help me with that. But the one thing that I can share is make sure that you have mentor, a mentor, or a colleague or a teammate that you can not simply just trade alongside of, but that you can pick up the phone and call. And there's a reason for that. I think so. If trading, there's this emotional component to it. We all can acknowledge that. And while we can learn stuff from watching other people, you really need to understand your own, how are you seeing the market, and what are the things that are affecting you in the way you trade, and why is that triggering you. And to do that, you need a friend. I know I certainly, I was just talking to my trading buddy yesterday. I talk to him probably 3-4 times a week. I have three guys. I have three friends that I consistently call. The last time I had a really bad day, I was talking to him, and he's like, dang, man, why did you trade so big on that? And I didn't have the answer for him, but I needed to hear that in that moment. And being able to pick up the phone and talk to him, and kind of listen to that, and also vent. It's so important. It's so critical. And where there are a ton of volume points of control to be revisited, isn't it expected they will fill? Yes, Anna, correct. So we call those naked volume points of control. And the idea there is that typically what you see is price, because it was such a large portion of volume traded there, typically what price does is it returns there. And when you leave those, you're going to see a lot of that in moves like this. In the Artemis move to the moon, right? You're going with impulse moves like this. This is called an impulse move. And when this impulse, when you see these kinds of moves, you're going to leave some gaps below. You're going to leave some volume points of control that go naked, that go untouched. Now, be careful with it, because I know certainly that there was a trader in our orbit who thought that every gap should fill, and he was at a certain point he was shorting a rally because he thought the gaps were going to fill, and guess what? They never filled. Those gaps are still open, and they're down there by like 4,500. God knows what he's going through. But he left our community, and I'm sure that I'm sure he had a bad time about it. So yeah, they typically do fill, but don't count on them. Just use those as references. It can be more of targets, right? If you break, then okay, maybe we go down there, we tag that point of control. Algo Hunter, hello, hi, welcome to the team, Algo. Welcome to the team. Where are you checking in from, Algo Hunter? Are you in the U.S.? Live action Manny. That's where you come in. It's nice to have a room finally with someone with skin in the game. Oh, yep. Thanks, Algo Hunt. Sorry. Thanks, live action. Yeah. So here, I knew it would take me some time to acclimate to trading live in front of people. So fortunately, I have a friend who does something very, very similar, and we were discussing it. And I think it's important. I hope I knew I could do it because I know I can trade by myself, right? So okay, so there was a time, there's another pretty popular prop firm that has a really large YouTube show, and I was interviewed several times on that show, and I thought at that time I said, I don't know if I'd ever be able to trade live in front of it, because there were talks about me revisiting the panel almost as a frequent guest, like at the repetitive guest, and then maybe even trading on their show. And I recall at the time thinking to myself, I don't know, I don't know, I just enjoyed executing my trades alone, and and then and then I started to see that. I started to think, well, then I started to think about it, and I was like, maybe if I could add value to somebody else, if I could share with them, because honestly, I just, because I was in this really closed circle of traders, I forgot that there were people that were, I forgot me when I started. Forgot that there were people really that needed help, the people that were struggling, or that other people that wanted to trade alongside other traders that had a strong process and that did well. That's when I really started to consider it, and then I had to reconcile the fact that, okay, how am I going to feel about airing out the good, the bad, and the ugly, like what you guys have seen here over the last few days. And I had to be okay with that, because I had to be fully transparent. I came to terms with all that. I came to terms with all of that, and now I'm here. So I'm quite happy sharing everything. Algo Hunters checking in from San Fran. Nice, nice. Uh, I always wished Algo Hunter. I always think that people on the West Coast have the best trading hours. Can get up super early. Your day's done by 1 p.m. Have the rest of the day in front of you. Yeah, yeah. I have so I was just talk. Yeah, done by. Yep. So one of the friends that I have that trade that I was just speaking of, a trader buddy who uh, who we constantly talk and chat about trading. One of them, he's actually from the UK, but he trades U.S. markets. He trades ES. For a long time, Algo. I traded the 6E contract, the Euro contract. I traded that for a long time. So I would wake up often to trade the European Open, like Eastern 2:30, 3 in the morning, and I did that for about 2 years. And I was trading it pretty consistently, and I liked the way it moved. Asia time is the worst. Greed. It's just horrible. Just tough. Yep. I had a live action says I had a live trading room back 15 years ago. It's extra pressure when so many depend on you. Uh, yeah. So I thought about that too. Live action. I definitely thought about that because in the interest of just being fully transparent, um, I still worry about that because I want to make sure that I'm adding value to people, and I want, in a perfect world, like I want all you guys to take all my winning trades and none of my losing trades. But so I'm still trying to um, I'm still trying to get past that. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Algo. That Algo Hunter, that Asia time is horrible. What do you trade, Algo Hunter? Anna says looks like price action wants lower lately, but any dip prompts a well-timed tweet. Best of all worlds, a knowledgeable mentor or buddy who's completely different time zone or not Asia can offer amazing opportunities. Oh well, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. You're in the right. You're in the right place. We're all trying to get better. We are all just trying to get better. If you would have been here a few hours ago, you'd have seen a bonfire. My platform crashed in the middle. I had a trade going on. And I think at one point I had like 20, 25 points in it. My platform crashed. I think I closed it out for like 6 or 7 points. And then my algo went nuts and it started executing trades and put me in stuff. Yeah, it was a shit show. We survived though. And then since then, Algo Hunter, since you're just joining us, just bring you up to speed. If there anyone else checking in, if you're just joining us, uh, if you're just joining us, I'm Manny Trends from Pitbull Traders. We're tracking the ES. Pitbull Traders is a live stream or also a prop firm funding company. So if you've got the skill or want to learn more how to trade, come check us. We'll also teach you how to trade. We'll trade alongside you, and we will also provide you funding. So Algo, more or less, we've just been flat. What we were looking for, if you look on the right hand chart, is a 15-minute chart. The yes, we were looking for so on the low side, we were looking for something that went like this. Maybe if we can get down below here and then come down, something like that. We were also looking for maybe something like this. This was another scenario we talked about. We also talked about maybe something that went like this, came back up, reclaimed, and went long, or something that came up, came back down, and then maybe comes back in. Uh, but this is we also frequently cover the dreaded sideways move, and what we didn't what we were seeing today is look at this is a 15-minute chart. Look at all these wicks. So I've been sidelined more or less since about for the last hour, almost hour and a half. because the price is just all the price action has been contained within the overnight range, within yesterday's value area, and thus there's no initiative action. The ES is lacking any new money today. This is just basically chop. So we're trying to stay safe, preserve those accounts. Again, if you want to, if you're interested in some funding, go to check out pitbulltraders.com. News was a roller coaster this morning. That's right. Yep. And here's another thing, team, is that so you guys haven't heard SPYGATE today, right? Not at all. The volume on SPYGATE is so low today. It's unbelievable. And for you, if you're just joining us, this is what SPYGATE sounds like. You'll hear it if it goes off. Knox for buy programs, croaks for sell programs. Although I'm thinking about changing the audio on it. What do you guys think? You guys think I should change the audio? Maybe go to something else. I don't know. I'm willing to entertain anything but any type of disco. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. I just hate disco music. Is everyone here from the trader? I think so. Algo Hunter, we have a mix. There's a mix. I am trading Pitbull trader accounts. I'm also trading personal accounts, and I'm also trading some different, some other prop firm accounts. I've traded, you know, if I've traded with all the top prop firms. Yeah, I am very new to that. I have been exploring. Okay, I've traded with all the top prop firms, and I've also traded live accounts with every top prop firm. So every prop firm that I've traded with, they've given me a live account, like a real money account. As I mentioned earlier, I've also been featured on those YouTube shows, from some of the more popular shows. One of them was called Power Players. I was on there quite a bit. But this has always been my home base here with the good folks over at, with our buddies over in Mr. Top Step, in the IM Pro. Just a bunch of good traders sharing information, helping us stay in alignment, try to trade better, helping each other trade better. And then this is an extension of that. Oz asks, what is SPYGATE? Great question. Let me here, this is for you, Oz. Just check out the that is what SPYGATE is. It's our institutional trade tracker. So you can hear it just went off. Right? So, and that comes free with an evaluation account, but you can see here that it's a very low amount today. It's only $879 million at this time of the day, when it's often like a few billion. The differential, the delta's it's been positively skewed to 879 million. And here we can see when the trades go off. And when we hear a knock, that means that there's a buy program going off. Or when we hear a croak, that means there's a sell program going off. Does that make sense, Oz? I kind of keep that going on in the background. I am more interested in when there are successive knocks or successive croaks. No one buy or sell program gets my attention, but a collective of them does. So if you guys remember very carefully, yesterday at the low, when we were putting in the 73, when we were trading like 73.80, it was knocking and knocking and knocking and knocking. Like somebody was down there. Somebody was down there buying. Like I said, man, your display is a bit grainy. You might want to look at that. And I have a large HD screen. So you mean the yeah, thumb no, thanks for the feedback, live action. So do you mean the Thinker Swim charts or the Ninja Trader charts? More can you be more specific? I'm not in love. I'm not in love with this display when I see it. To be honest with you, I'm not. It only works if you all can see it and make sense of it, right? So in many regards, I give me your feedback. I promise I don't have thin skin. If it doesn't help you, we'll pivot. We'll make an adjustment. Okay. Yeah. So Easy Money points out that it looks good in the private community. Great. Thanks for that, Easy Money. But if it looks great in here, probably across the board. Oh, wow. Okay. Oz says just too small. Oz, where are you? So Oz, both of them, or I thought this one looked better, but maybe I need to pivot to this, right? Would that be more helpful? Oz, live action. Let me know. Okay. Thanks. All right. So I'm going to try to make an adjustment there. Let's see. Well, Oz, what about this? It's kind of hard because I definitely need to see. I'm definitely taking the feedback into consideration, but you guys have to remember also I'm a trader first. I'm definitely trying to make a living here. But if I don't display it properly, then what's the point? I think that this looks like it has too much on it. I need brighter colors, I think, or darker black. What if I went like this? Oh, it's 11. Hey, team, it's 11:50. I ran way over. Let's see. Yeah, maybe because you're watching from YouTube, right? Right. And no, that's why I appreciate the feedback, live action, because we're going to be very, very soon here. We're going to be streaming. We're going to be on YouTube. Um, we're going to have even the folks in our private community are going to be on YouTube, or they're going to be able to communicate with you all on in the YouTube chat and also be in our private community. It'll be simply a tab that they switch between. So if they wanted to communicate within the YouTube chat, they can, or if they want to post something in the private chat, they can. That's coming very, very soon. Very, very soon. In fact, I'm having I just ran over today, but I'm having a meeting about something very similar to that at 12:30 today. So I'm going to have to, uh, I didn't realize how far I went over on time. I have to get something to eat. Okay, that's so. Wait, stick around, Oz. So this is so Oz. Just let me know if this. Maybe I need to remove the volume profile. Yeah, I'll work on it. I'll, Okay. All right, live action. Duly noted. I'll work on it for sure. Yeah, I don't like the way it looks either, to be honest with you. Algo Hunter asks, what are your trading hours? So Algo Hunter, we live stream on 6 different channels from 9 a.m. Eastern to 11:30. I ran over today, having so much fun with everyone. Also with the disaster that I had this morning. Um, we live stream from 9 to 11:30 Eastern, and then at that point, where you are now in the private community, right? That continues on. We have someone coming on at 12, although Bo usually comes on at 12, and then Tom comes on at 2. However, this week Bo is away for his and wedding anniversary, so he will not be on today. I may pick up the slack if I can get out of this meeting quickly enough, and jump on with Tom at 2 p.m. So look out for that, especially since I really didn't get a I still have that one account that I'd like to see end the day green. But yeah, that's a kind of our schedule. And we're looking to expand it into next week, so look out for that. All right, team. So listen, I have to wrap it up for the today. I realized yesterday when I was reviewing the stream that I've told everyone each day that I was going to return, and I didn't. And that's not because I didn't I didn't want to. It's just I got busy with other stuff. And then yesterday I left, and I many times I don't return until like 3 or 4, 3:30. But all right, so that's gonna wrap it up for today. If you got anything out of this at all, do me a favor. Please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button and hit the notify button so you know when we're coming on. We're probably coming on later on this afternoon. If you want to go deeper into anything I spoke about today, you can reach me at Manny_trends on X, or you can shoot me an email, Manny@pitbulltraders.com. Remember, react, don't predict. We'll be back on tomorrow for sure at from 9 to 11:30. Hopefully, we'll be able to finish up the week strong. I don't know about you guys, but we've had a pretty strong week this week. There's been some really good, strong P&L, some really strong trading. And if that hasn't been your experience, team, at any point, if you need to reach out to someone, let me know. I'll give you my phone number. You can reach out. You can call me. Always willing to chat with someone. And if you guys, for anyone that's interested in that, you can grab it from the chat right now. You can always reach out and give me a call. Always willing to pick up the phone and help somebody out if I can in any way. That's going to call it for me for today. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate all the support. Yep. And you guys on YouTube, yeah, you can see that there too. You're welcome, live action. I hope you guys can see the phone number.